So second hour, we are already underway here. Now, tonight, we have another guest with us, and somebody else that I've been looking forward to talking to, Ken W. Good. Ken W. Good is a seasoned bail attorney and is a board member of the Professional Bondsmen of Texas. He's argued before the Texas Supreme Court and the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, and he's one of the country's leading voices on the intersection of bail reform, immigration enforcement, and public safety. With immigration raids on the rise and crime rates mysteriously falling, many are asking, is there a connection? Are mass deportations really driving down violent crime, or are we being misled by the headlines and half-truth? Well, Ken's going to be here tonight, and he's going to unpack the data, the policies, and the unintended consequences, offering insight from decades of courtroom experience and community-level work. So, folks, I'd like to welcome Ken W. Good to the Joe Rooz Show. Ken, are you out there? Yeah, turn your mic on. All right, I think we froze. So, Ken, if you now I got you. Okay, I was going to tell you to refresh.
Yeah, waiting to push a button, it kind of scares the first time I've used Rumble, so I was like, please work, please work, please work.
Oh, it's pretty stable. It's a pretty stable platform. It's a lot of it's working its bugs out, but it's pretty good. And like I told the previous guest in the audience, full disclosure, I am a shareholder in Rumble, so I am loyal to Rumble. So
Cool.
Well, welcome to the show, sir. I'm really glad that you were able to connect with us tonight. Before we get into anything like serious, I always ask a couple of basic questions, and I'm sure as an attorney, you get those little questions in before you start really digging, right? So
before you start hitting hard.
There you go. What's something most people don't know about you but should?
Oh, I would say they should realize from interacting with me, I have a blue-collar background, and so I have blue-collar values. I don't have any problem with working hard. I'll outwork you. I don't have to be smarter than you because I'll outwork you.
I like that. That's really good. All right, and what's your go-to beverage to unwind at the end of the day?
Oh, it used to be Diet Coke. I mean, I used to have clients pick me up at the airport and hand me a Diet Coke.
Nice.
And I have quit drinking Diet Coke, and I feel like I'm an alcoholic. I have been 2 years and I've had only one Diet Coke. So my go-to drink right now is water.
Okay.
I drink water all day long, and I'll start with a cup of coffee.
Nice. Well, as you heard when I did the read there, by the way, when I do the reads for this stuff, I really do drink the coffee. I love it. It's great
I was
stuff.
trying to read what was on the coffee cup.
On the one I'm using right now,
Yeah.
It says, "I've got a dig Bic."
Okay, I was reading it the reverse. I was like, does that really say that?
Yeah, that's the point. That's the whole thing. And then underneath it says, "You that read wrong." Then under
Well, I
that
was
it says,
here going, I don't know if I'd want to put my shortcomings on a cup and show it to everybody.
no. And then it says underneath that it says, "You read that wrong too." So I don't know.
Okay. That's a very appropriate cup. I'll say that.
Oh, for sure. I saw it on Amazon, so I was like, "Oh, I got to get that." That's funny.
I feel like I'm shorter than you, so I keep raising myself. So
Yeah, you're good. So my go-to beverage at the end of the day is usually a bourbon. I like my bourbons. I've been cutting back on it because I was getting a little bit too experimental with some of the more expensive ones, and
my dad was diabetic from the age of 17 till he died, and so we never had alcohol in our house. He was appointed to the very first class of the Air Force Academy, but was not able to go because they discovered he was diabetic on his physical.
Oh, wow.
So I never have been around alcohol. So I don't drink. But what I tell people is I can get into trouble all by myself being stone cold sober. If I drink, it is absolutely guaranteed. I will get in trouble.
Game on, right?
Game on.
Nice. All right. So let's jump into some of these things here. So some people are crediting mass deportations for the decline in violent crime. Do you think there's any evidence that really supports that?
Well, if you Google crime and deportations, or if you Google this, bad bail reform we're having in our urban areas with crime, the same groups, I mean, any little advocacy group that has the name justice in it, just about, that's issued a report, you will be shocked to find that they will have a report that says, these bad bail reform releasing people that have committed crimes, and that doesn't increase crime. And the same thing about deportations, that deportations does not impact crime. The problem is we're now starting to get data out from, the reliable sources, or the sources that we historically look to, and they're confirming what we already know. When you deport criminals, since most crime is committed by and large by a group of criminals, crime will go down. And that's what we've always known, historically.
What a shocking revelation that is.
I know, it's kind of like
you
saying,
deport a criminal, the crime goes.
You can believe your eyes instead of what the other side says is you can't believe your lying eyes.
Exactly. So what would you say is the current dynamic between local law enforcement, federal immigration authorities, and how does that affecting public trust?
Well, I would say in the majority of the country, they work hand in hand together. I mean, if you look at the Harris County Jail, which is Houston, which is third largest county in the nation, if you get arrested in Harris County and you have an ICE hold, if you get out of their jail, you're going to get handed off to ICE. So I would say that's the majority of the country. Now, we've got some pockets of resistance like LA, Illinois, some other areas where they like to call themselves either sanctuary cities or sanctuary states, where they are refusing to work with law enforcement. And the scary thing, I mean, the thing that's really kind of been hard to understand is why have they been doing this for so long? And then, now we're starting to find out when they come and do a census, they count everybody in your area, including illegal aliens, and then they attribute House seats at the U.S. House of Representatives based on the gross numbers, not just the citizens' numbers. And so I think there's been some calculations recently that says New York and California probably have 5 or 10 more seats than they would have if all we considered were citizens. And as a result, they have more pool than they would otherwise have.
And that's absolutely correct. I've been looking at this for a while. I'm native New York, so I've seen firsthand how New York's very, very liberal policies have wrecked the city. I also worked in law enforcement for 23 years of my 25 years in city service. 23 was in law enforcement, uniform, investigative services, operations, and so forth. So I've seen how the liberal policies in New York really affect the overall population in New York.
Well, you've seen the cost of what it has done locally to get those extra 5 seats.
Exactly. The under the Giuliani administration, you saw New York City turn around. It was a beautiful thing to see. New York was a great place. Now, I moved to Texas 10 years ago. Best decision I ever made in my life. Strangely, I've always wanted to come to Texas, even as a kid. I don't know what it was.
Time of year. This is the hottest time of year.
Well, especially where I am. Yeah, I'm down here. I'm in Eagle Pass, so it's.
Yeah.
So I'm right here on the border. So I saw all that mess, and I'm a few maybe 5 minutes from Shelby Park, where the standoff took place, and so I'm right here in the middle of it all, and it was interesting to watch, and that's why I also have my Texas independent flag back here, and we'll talk about that. I'm going to pitch something to you. So I'm familiar with these liberal policies that just destroy cities. I saw that with Giuliani, the resurgence of New York, and then under the administration that followed him, Bloomberg started off good. And then all of a sudden his hyper liberalism started to come through, and now what I find absolutely shocking more than anything else is the Democratic Party in New York has actually nominated an outright self-declared communist as their candidate for mayor.
Yeah, but do you think Adams had anything to do with supporting that? Because he would be a stronger candidate against Mamdani than he would against the other guy, the former governor. So do you think his supporters went out to vote for Mamdani to kind of help Adams? I mean, we won't know that until the election.
Yeah, but I also heard today that Cuomo is running as an independent now. He launched a
Cuomo will hurt him running as an independent.
Oh, for sure. But what I also found really disturbing was the New York State GOP basically threw in the towel on this one. They released a statement publicly that told people in New York to get out.
Wow.
Now that to me, that's scary. That to me is telling me that party in New York just gave up, and they're not even going to put anybody forward that isn't even that can even.
They have a GOP guy on the ballot, and so we've got 3 alternatives to Mamdani, and so I mean that makes it more likely that Mamdani will be elected.
Yes, absolutely, and who the Republican Party has forward as their candidate is Curtis Sliwa.
I don't know him.
Okay, Curtis Sliwa. I don't know if you remember. There was an organization in New York called was it the Guardian Angels?
Oh yes,
yeah, the ones who went with the red bomber jackets, the red berets, and all that stuff. Well, he was the founder and
he should be a strong candidate then.
Yeah,
or has he gone off the rails since the
last. I haven't really paid much attention to him until more recently. But he ran a catastrophically unsuccessful campaign once before for the mayor, and I don't even think he garnered 5% of a vote.
Yeah.
So and this is who they're running. Again,
Giuliani and Adams could split the vote, and Mamdani could win.
Yeah, very true.
I mean, I think you would say that's the probable result.
Cuomo.
So Cuomo and Adams are going to, their supporters are already pushing back. I mean, a group of billionaires met with both of them and asked Cuomo to withdraw, and they were going to put their support to Adams. If both of them are in the race, I mean, I would argue, stay out of the race.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would agree with you. So New York is just falling apart, and I'm so thankful that I live.
Well, but Adams did make the comment that Mamdani won the nomination with a little bit over 300,000 votes, and he won the election with 700,000 votes. So, I mean, there was a race for DA in Harris County where the Republican made a similar argument, and the Republicans just stayed home, and then the Soros-supported Democrat candidate won by 1 or 2 points. So it was a race the Republicans could have won if they would have spent any money on it. Yeah. So I'm wondering if we're going to have a repeat of that in a way.
I think so. I again, to go.
I don't know. I mean, I've always said that Obama, his coalition for elections was Wall Street paid for it, and then they focused on left wing, social issues, and they left the businesses alone. That's not going to happen with the Mamdani administration.
No, I mean he's talking about having city-run supermarkets.
Yeah.
So, well, here come your bread lines.
Well, I mean, they're still going to be empty because they're not going to address the shoplifting. I mean, businesses, even government businesses that aren't looking for a profit, they're not going to keep throwing money into the budget for that because of daily shoplifting. They might finally care about shoplifting if it's their own stores, but I mean, the problem is government-owned stores have never been successful anywhere.
No, absolutely right. And when I left New York, like I said, about 10 years ago, there was a statistic that said 150 families. So you're talking 2 or more, 150 families a month were leaving New York.
Yeah.
10 years ago. I didn't think of it to look it up until just now, but I'm curious of what that number would be now, because especially with all this. So you have this.
Look at California and New York. Didn't they lose House seats in the last census? And that was before all this stuff about them packing in illegal aliens. I mean, imagine what it would have been like if we weren't counting illegal aliens, or if we closed our border.
Which the whole idea of counting illegals for voting. I mean, the Democratic Party has definitely taken the veil off of what their intention is. They want to flip this country into a one-party system. And
yeah, and whenever I hear them say Trump is a risk to democracy or a threat to democracy, I'm like, Trump is not a threat to democracy. He's a threat to Democrats, and they don't care about democracy. All they care about is themselves.
Exactly. I mean, you can make the point too. Is in the last election, you had Joe Biden stepping down. They didn't have another primary. They appointed by committee his replacement. Not one vote was cast for Kamala Harris. Not one primary. Nothing. And they said, this is who you're going to vote for. That's it. Well, that's not freedom. That's not democracy.
Yeah, but I've seen several articles that says the Democrats have done that for Hillary Clinton,
sure,
Biden, and Kamala Harris. So they've had 3 candidates in a row that have been selected, not elected. And the problem with that is that has actually driven their party further to the left. And because the hardcore just think we could have won that election if we'd have just been true to ourselves, more left. If we'd have just been more left, we would have won. And then especially Kamala, she moderated her positions. I mean, she did a 180-degree turn on a whole bunch of issues 6 weeks before the election, and all of her supporters going wink, wink, nod, nod. Well, now, I mean, I think they've destroyed the Obama coalition, and so now I don't think the Democrats can select anyone but a hardcore left candidate without keeping them from selecting it and having the elites do it. And I don't think they can get away with it now. They need to do that, and they need to lose and lose badly so that they'll moderate.
Yeah, and and their pivot to the hard left. I don't think the country is there. I don't think that.
Well, I don't even think they're there. What's happened is they've outsourced a bunch of their policies, criminal justice reform, immigration reform. They've outsourced it to advocacy groups. And the problem with when you outsource it to advocacy groups like the Soros Coalition and all them, they will never admit they're wrong. They're always going to say, give us more time. We just need more time. Or these things kept it from working. Or, we just need to do it. We need to go further left to show it really works. Those things, I mean, advocates never admit they're wrong. And that's when I realized that they had outsourced all these things. When you have all these bad bail reform and you have shoplifting running through the roof in California, and they won't even admit it. They won't do anything about it. That tells you it's all politics. It's advocacy groups, and they're holding the politicians hostage.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. And then you have candidates like AOC. You have candidates like Ilhan Omar, and you have candidates like what's that? What's her name? Oh, shoot.
I would be such a great name dropper if I can remember names.
I know it's terrible. I saw a meme recently. That there's a picture of her, and it says, "This is why Muslim men prefer goats." So, what was her name? Why can't I? Oh, Rashida Tlaib. They keep putting these people as the front of the party, though. They're not looking to show any kind of moderation. Now, they're not looking to show, hey, we pushed it too far. They're going full on with this far left agenda. They're talking that AOC is probably going to put a bid into to primary Chuck Schumer, and that she has presidential.
Yeah, but don't you think Mamdani will be a good litmus test about that? Because if he loses, then she's going to not run. I mean, and also the party elites or the longtime Democrats should come after Mamdani because they know what damage that he would do to the party for next year's mid-year elections. I mean, but you can see if you watch politics, you can see this coming from a mile away. Historically, 6 months before there was a national election, we would have some pumped up thing where the Democrats would say, you as a racial group are being mistreated. We'd have protests. They say, you need to get angry and you need to come out and vote. And they won some elections doing that. But the problem is when you create a mob, you lose control of the mob. And that's what's happened. And so the mob has gotten mad at them because every time after the election, they just go back to status quo. And so now they've started electing members of the mob, like we call them the true believers, but I mean, they don't believe in anything. They're just, disruptors, they're organizers. And so now those are the people that are getting elected. And what do you know? The party faithful is getting attacked by their own, by the mob that they created. That's what happens every time.
Yeah, they're eating themselves. Is what's basically happening.
Well, and you look at Texas. You've been here. Texas has always been a conservative state, even when it was a Democrat conservative state. But back then, the Democrat Party was a big tent party, and then they quit having room for all these different views. And so they've run off the conservatives first. And so that's the reason why Texas became a Republican state. Now they're at the point where they're running off anybody almost but the hard left. And you're seeing more and more articles say, we can't be a party where we have all these loyalty tests or we're going to die. Well, they're in the process of dying.
Oh, I agree with you. And one thing I'm thankful for is, like, where I live is predominantly Democratic. All right. But they're conservative Democrat. It's the old,
especially for the last election. I mean, those counties flipped to Republican.
Yeah. It's like the old, what they call them, blue dog Democrats. That's that's kind of what it is here, and so it's tolerable, if I could put it that way.
But my experience, that's an area that has really good people. I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, religious people, I think strongly religious, and that's what kind of makes me question long term whether they'll be in the Democrat Party, because there's no room in the Democrat Party for people of
none whatsoever. And I was going to ask you something about that too. You see, with what I've also noticed, like you mentioned midterms, I don't see how Democrats can have any kind of optimism about midterm elections, aside from the fact that they're planning on stealing and so on and so forth. But when you have all of these riots taking place and all over illegal immigration. Again, I've said this many times in the show. I'll say it again. I do not have a problem with immigration.
Well, I don't have a problem with legal immigration.
That's the point. I don't have a problem with immigration. I have a problem with illegal immigration. You want to come, you want to live in the United States, go through the process. I interviewed a guy a couple of weeks ago named Julian Raven, who a British national, came to the U.S. with a visa, did it the right way, realized that he overstayed his visa, not by long, but when he realized he did, he came under such conviction that he marched himself down to 26 Federal Plaza at the time when it was still called INS, marched himself in there, and this is how he described it was, he walked in, he put his hands together, and he goes, I overstayed my visa, and they laughed at him and said, so then go.
Yeah.
And he did, and he went through the whole process, came back, and now he's an American citizen. He got his citizenship in 2015, I think it was, he said.
My daughter, who's 25, 26, is dating a young man from Colombia whose family immigrated here when he was 10. He didn't speak a word of English. He grew up in the schools. He learned English, and he's a naturalized citizen. His entire family is now, and he went to college. He has 2 degrees, and we like their family. We like them a lot, and they're a good fit for us. And I mean, so I don't have a problem, like you said, with immigration. I don't have a problem with it at all. I have a problem with the illegal immigration, and I have a big problem with open borders where we're bringing in drugs right and left, and we're bringing in the whole process. We're bringing in employees for them to run their illegal operations, and we're trying to defend that. I mean, we're ignoring it, and somehow, I mean, that's okay. I mean, that's not okay.
Not at all. And then my point about the midterms is you have the Democrats talking about, they want to take the House. Of course, if they do steal it, and all you're going to get it for the next 2 years is going to be impeachments, and everything they can to try to just derail everything the president's doing right now. But I don't see how they could be optimistic about taking that when you have all of these images of illegal immigrants burning police cars, burning buildings, burning businesses, looting, breaking everything up, standing on top of cars, waving foreign flags. Yeah. And then they tell us that we're racist for saying that.
But aren't they just resorting back to their playbook? That's all they know. That's what they did when they won the last midterm with a Republican president. So they're just reverting back to their playbook. And I've seen some articles saying it is absolutely guaranteed that the Democrats will take over the House. And there's that article or that group of articles is just saying that based on history. I mean, it's very, very infrequent, very rare that the party in power gains seat in the House during a midterm. I think George Bush II is probably one of an exception to that rule.
Yes. Yeah.
But Trump in his first term, he was attempting to do what he was not comfortable with, be a politician. The reason why he's doing so good right now is he's not attempting to be a politician. He's doing what he knows, and that's take over a bankrupt company.
That's right. And he is doing it in a way he doesn't care. Like if in his first term, he would fight back against the media. Like he would battle, tit for tat, right back.
Tit for tat. And and that was his biggest flaw. He didn't do that anymore.
No. He's largely ignoring, and he's going ahead doing what he's going to do.
He could never do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's just going forward, doing his thing.
But it's like people he's very comfortable with where he is and what he's doing.
And that's a difference, a huge difference. It's palpable. You could see it, you could feel it. He has one focus and one focus only, and that is to lift the United States up, to improve the life.
I think that's what the public believes. So if you have to question, who do I believe? Do I believe ABC News or do I believe Donald Trump? Well, I can tell you right now, I'm going to believe Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
Probably 80% of the issues. There's probably very few issues, and where he's vulnerable right now is on this, the client list for someone I don't even want to name, but that's a thing of their own creation. But Elon Musk has kind of made that worse by saying Trump's on it. But the problem is now it's such a uniform issue where we don't trust the Democrats or the Republicans on it. That could create a problem, and they're going to have to address that eventually, because without it, he's going to have to release something to regain trust.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. Actually, I was going to ask you some questions about that.
I'm not on the list.
No, I don't think so. I don't remember.
I'm a nobody.
Yeah, exactly. Well, me. I'm talking about me. What was I going to say? It just slipped out of my mind. Well, first of all, if Donald Trump was actually on the list, the Democrats would have been screaming for that list.
They would have released it right before the election. He's not on the list. The whole Elon Musk thing, I think, is only one issue, and that is when the Butler attempted assassination happened, Elon Musk made a decision that Trump's going to win. I thought at the same time Trump's going to win. And so Elon started investing in Trump to try to talk him out of the EV tax break repeal. And when he threw his fit with Trump was when because Trump told him the whole time, you can support me, but I'm repealing the EV tax credit. And when it looked like the big, beautiful bill was going to pass, Elon threw a fit because he was trying to keep it from passing. I think he's a one-issue person, because I think without that, Tesla becomes much more under pressure. And that's why he's setting up his new policy, his new party. He only needs to get a couple of House seats and Senate seats, and the Republicans will fall all over themselves to give him his EV tax credit again. So I think he's a one-issue man. Yeah,
I could agree with you on that one too. So about the Epstein stuff, what do you think? And as a lawyer, as sitting back looking at this, what do you think is really going on behind the scenes? Because today, you hear all this stuff going on right now that Bongino, who I have a lot of respect for because we have similar backgrounds, like law enforcement, and all that stuff. I think that when he was doing his podcast and his radio show, he was on point with all these things, calling for transparency on this. And then fast forward, now he's the deputy director of the FBI. They roll him out for this interview with Kash Patel on Fox News, and that both of them look like they're sitting there like hostages. They both look sick to their stomachs saying the things that they're saying. And now we're hearing that there was this huge disagreement, very vocal disagreement between them, Pam Bondi, Susie Wiles at the White House. Bongino's threatening to quit. Patel's saying he's not far behind him if Bongino goes. Mm-hmm. What do you see? What do you think is going on with all this stuff? Why do you think?
Okay, so let's downplay it. Let's say it's not what we think it is. I think you could make an argument that they're really upset about the lack of transparency, and the steps that have been taken are mostly missteps by Bondi, and as a result has destroyed her credibility. You could make an argument at the very least that it's that. Anything else? I mean, I'm going to tell you, you could convince me of any of a number of things, because they've destroyed their credibility. I mean, both the Democrats and the Republicans have destroyed their credibility on the Epstein issue. And I don't know. I mean, they'll have to release something or have a sacrificial lamb as the scapegoat to get over this issue. Now, Trump doesn't think so. Trump thinks nobody cares about Epstein. But somebody came out with some polling today to say it's important enough to a percentage that without them, we lose elections. So I'm not really sure. I don't know. I do believe that the issue is not going away. I mean, the Democrats are looking for anything to stick on the wall as they throw more and more mud. If this sticks, then they'll focus on that. I don't watch any of the liberal news organizations, but sometime I'll just flip across it. And I did Good Morning Joe or whatever it is this morning, and that's all they were talking about was the Epstein list, which is kind of interesting since they didn't want to have anything to do with it when they were in power. But suddenly now that if anything shows that it sticks, they're going to stick with it. And this seems to have gotten some legs. And so it's going to be on the news until something knocks it off. And so for now, I think.
Yeah, but my concern, curiosity, however you want to put it, is the flip-flopping back and forth.
Yeah.
It's on my desk. It's not on my desk. It exists. It never existed. We don't have it. It's gone. Personally speaking, I think that whatever lists there were or are have probably been so scrubbed since who knows how far back to this point that they're probably worthless anyway.
Well, Trump makes a good argument saying any lists that they have were created by Democrats. And so, but I mean, there's no way to explain why Elon Musk would say that Trump is on the list, other than, because I don't think he's having a problem lying. I think he's baiting. And so I think if you want to reconcile what he said with why would he say that, then you could argue, okay, he knows there's no list. And so when he says that, they cannot disprove it because there's nothing in writing to say that. So he's stirring up trouble. And I think that's what he was doing because it's all about his EV tax credit.
It's like throwing a temper tantrum.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think what you just said, temper tantrum. I think you look at that and you go, oh, yeah, that's exactly what he did. He threw a temper tantrum. But you don't do that to Trump. I think Trump came out pretty good by saying, the only people that have created this list are not Epstein. It's some Democrats. So there's nothing on there that is going to be helpful to Republicans. And I've heard arguments saying if they've got a list for anybody that went out to dinner with them, then they're going to have their lives destroyed for being on the list. But I don't have any sympathy for that because, like you said, if someone says it's on my desk waiting for me to review, and then a month later says there is no list, they no longer have credibility with me until they explain that, and they haven't.
And they're not going to.
They can't. There's no way. I started as an attorney, as a medical malpractice attorney, representing doctors in hospitals, and I would tell a doctor, if they catch you lying, then you're lying. And you're a lying doctor for the rest of the case. You will not regain your credibility in this case because you've been caught lying. And, I represent bondsmen, and I'm like, we don't even start even. We're bondsmen, so we're lying bondsmen. I'm a lying bondsman's lawyer. You work for 30 years to get the good reputation you have, and it just takes one thing saying, the list is on my desk, and then a month later saying, there is no list, and you can't win.
Yeah, and actually, I was actually talking to somebody about that too, especially with AI, with the what was it called, the blackmail inflation. Anybody can take somebody's image or likeness and put it into something that's AI generated, and the AI has advanced so much in such a short period of time that it would be extremely difficult to try to differentiate between an AI generated video of that person in that compromising situation.
And all they need is a kernel of truth to build off of.
Right. And then by by the time it gets disputed and proven that no, this person wasn't really involved in this was all a fake, the damage is done.
Yeah.
The reputation's shot and all that stuff.
There's some old saying that by the time it takes a lie to spread across the world, it takes 3 times, 4 times as long for the truth to catch up. And
yeah,
I mean, AI has already made that incredibly fast, but it also, excuse me, has made it where we don't want to trust anybody. I mean, how do you trust anybody with AI that you can fake it so quickly? Excellent point.
I did an AI generated picture of myself with a reptilian alien, and it looks so real. I sent it out to my sister. I was like, "Hey, look,
that's a picture with my sister."
No, I said to my sister, I was like, "Hey, look, I found a picture of me with Grandpa." Sorry. So that goes to your point that now you're guilty by association, whether it's true or not. No matter what happens, you're now scarred for life, and there's generally no recovery from it.
Yeah.
I mean, for as an example, and not AI related, but the pee-pee tape of Donald Trump getting urinated on by Russian prostitutes. First of all, Donald Trump's a germaphobe. That would never happen.
That was my response at the time.
Yeah, so that would never happen. That's the most ridiculous thing ever. But how many people today, even though it's been debunked time and time again, how many people today still bring that up? So many people still talk about it.
See, I don't. I mean, not in my world, because I'm like, well, if you're going to believe that, you're going to believe anything.
Basically, yeah, and they're usually Democrats.
I mean, the problem with the fight on the Epstein list is, who is Trump going to side with? Because my understanding is his chief of staff is very close with Bondi. And so who did he come out defending? Bondi.
Of course.
But he also said, Bongioni or whatever his name is, that he's a nice guy too. So he's trying to pull them back together. But I think if he has to pick sides, his chief of staff's relationship with Bondi will win out. But I think Bondi has okay, first of all, I discount anything I hear in the news about Bondi because everything is going to be blown up. But I do think she has misstepped. If she has said the list is on my desk and now is saying there is no list, she has committed an unforced error.
Mm-hmm. And she has some explaining to do.
She does. Absolutely.
And
that's a lesson to all politicians, because I think Trump, with his MAGA base, is probably the most trusted politician in the country. And the far left can't understand that. The far left is going crazy about it. But all they see is a convicted felon. They don't see that that's all crap and it was all a setup to try to destroy him, because they'd rather destroy him and retain power than have any type of governor of what's best for the country. And they can't see that.
And all it did was make him stronger.
It did. They couldn't even they stopped talking about the case. When that came out and they convicted him, it was the same thing as, the grabbing the woman from the last election. It came out too early. And by the time the election came around, it was stale. Those types of things used to come out the Thursday before the election because there would be no time to respond. Now, with early voting, it has to come out earlier. And by the time the election day comes, it's done. I mean, people have discounted, either they believe it or they don't believe it. And the harm is greatly muted and overcome. And right. Nobody's better at overcoming that than Trump.
Yeah, he just keeps plugging away at it, discrediting it. And again, like we said before, he's not focusing on that. He's like, okay, that's not that it's fine, but they did. That's what they said. Okay, move on. Let's go. Let's keep.
Well, okay, this seems irrelevant, but I think this is a really good example of what you're saying. So in the one debate between Trump and Biden, I mean, Trump was talking about golf, and Biden was saying what a great golfer he was, and Trump's like, yeah, right. Well, and I mean, when I was sitting home, I was like, I don't think either one of them are going to be any good golfers. And so what did Trump do really soon after that? He had a YouTube video with him and some great golfer where they were playing a game. They were trying to get so many strokes, and I think they were, donating money to charity. And suddenly Trump, you look at Trump and the professionals like, you're a good golfer. And they met whatever the score was. And then suddenly you're like, oh my God, everything I thought about Trump. Now, I promise you, I never even thought Biden could hit the ball. But I mean, Trump saw that and just had this idea that, people don't think I'm a good golfer. Let's go disprove that. What he does is disprove you in what you think of him over and over and over.
Yeah.
He's a man of his word. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. I think the leaders of Iran would agree with that right now.
I mean, so do I.
And the leaders, Putin may come to realize that in 50 days, because Trump just gave Putin a 50-day deadline. And I think that history has shown that when Trump gives you a certain number of days, you need to act within those days, because on 51, probably something's going to happen.
Well, we have a perfect case study of that with Iran. He gave him 60 days, and day 61, boom, happened. And then shortly thereafter, I'm giving you 2 weeks, not even 2 days into it, American military power was
You've got the Democrats where the far left, where I think they've outsourced their criminal justice policy and their immigration policy. So they don't know what they believe. If you ask them what they're going to do, they turn to their advocates that are setting their policy for them. I mean, when Soros visits the White House with Biden, I mean, dozens and dozens of times, it's not for good.
No, of course
not in my book. He's telling them what their policy should be, and they don't know better because they've outsourced it to them, so they don't have anybody looking at it. Usually when you do that, you get the advocacy groups come in and argue, and then you make an independent decision of what you should do, which is best for the country. They skip that whole step and just outsourced it, in my opinion, to those advocacy groups.
I agree. All right. Well, Ken, we're coming up on the hour, so let's wrap this thing up for the moment. And
okay.
I would love to have another conversation with you, though. So we definitely need to get in touch with each other and have a sit down again. So if you could speak one sentence into the minds of everyone listening right now, and it would stick, what would it be?
Pursue an active relationship with Jesus Christ.
Amen. Oh, brother, God bless you. Thank you so much.
I mean, that just builds from everything else, because
absolutely.
I mean, there's been many times in my life where I've thought about doing something and I'm like, I mean, there was time where I couldn't say, what would Jesus do? I'd say, what would grandma do? Because she was really religious. So, right. And there's a lot of things I haven't done because grandma wouldn't do it. And now because Jesus wouldn't do it. We're missing a governor on our politicians and on society in so many areas. We just have no moral compass anymore. And I think we're missing that. And that's very, very important.
Absolutely. I totally agree. That was a great answer. I love that. Thank you so much for it. I am a blood-bought, born-again, Bible-believing Christian, man. So
grew up in the church, met a woman of the church, and we've raised our kids in the church. And,
That's great. Well, I'm going to invite you to check out our Sunday show, because our Sunday show is a Bible study show. Mm-hmm. And I started teaching a series on America's Christian heritage. So I started with politics in the Bible. Then from there I went to the Christian's Bill of Rights, and then we talked about the start of the American Revolution, battles of Lexington, Concord, Breeds, and Bunker Hill, and then this past Sunday we talked about the conclusion of hostilities with the Declaration of Independence, and then next week we can get into something else. So and it's probably taking about 10, 12 weeks of studies on this. So. I mean, that's how much I already have outlined for it. So it's going to take a while. I
used to teach a class to high school seniors, and did that for years until my daughter, who's 20, she was a special needs kid when she was born. So we quit teaching then, and she had a bone marrow transplant when she was 5. She's doing good. She just has some arm issues, but she's a junior in college.
Great. Congratulations. Thanks. I mean, that's wonderful. It's hard because my son has, he has disabilities. He was diagnosed Asperger's at very young, and more recently he was diagnosed as bipolar. So, raising a child with disabilities is extremely difficult. But you know what? If you pour yourself into it, you put your love behind it, you instill the values and faith in them.
2 things I would say on that is this was hard for me at the time, but we went to counseling to prepare for the birth of this child because we knew there were problems. And one of the things the counselor said is you have to mourn the child you thought you were going to have so that you can celebrate the child you receive.
Oh wow,
And that seems really cruel at the time, but it is so true. I mean, and I will say, going through that, I hope you agree, changes you. My wife and I are different people than we were. I'm a workaholic. Everybody in my family say I'm a workaholic, but I'm a different workaholic. Family means something to me.
Absolutely.
And, this little girl that has arm issues and didn't make platelets when she was born just stole our hearts. And we can't imagine our life without her. And she's 20 years old now.
Oh, praise the Lord. Amen for that. Amen. Well, can I ask her name so I can pray for her on my prayer?
Her name is Laurel Good. She's a junior at UT Dallas, and she's in their gaming program, which is interesting since nobody in gaming is finding jobs right now.
Nice.
But that's all right. She works for me part-time at work.
Okay, there you go. Dad's to the rescue. That's all.
Yeah.
Well, but yeah, I'm going to add her to my prayer list, so I'll keep her in prayers for sure. All right, Ken, thank you. So where can the audience go to find out more about you and what you do?
We have a website called pbtx.com, the Professional Bondsmen of Texas.com. We have a blog where we highlight important criminal justice stories, but we have our own podcast. There's a link on the menu, or you can just go to thebailpost.com, thebail as BAIL post.com. You want to know what the Illinois plan is or the New Jersey plan is? We have a podcast all about it. Everything to try to instruct or teach or educate lawmakers and the public on what works and what does not work in criminal justice reform.
That's great. I'll definitely be checking that out. That's fantastic. And we'll make sure we include all this stuff in the show notes. I have some of it in the audio notes. I don't have anything yet in the video notes. So I'll make sure we get all that set up for you. So Ken Good, thank you so much for spending your time with us. Really do appreciate it. God bless you. God bless your family. And stay safe, brother. Stay safe.
You too. Thank you very much.
All right, folks. Ken Good. All right. So we just have a couple of announcements.